Welcome to the Whiskey Chasers, where we talk about our passion for whiskey and its history, either amongst ourselves or while interviewing distilleries, all while enjoying a glass. I'm Steve.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Chris.
Please enjoy responsibly while enjoying this week's episode of the Whiskey Chasers. Good to meet you, Blake. And this Blake is the owner of Smokeye Hill. And it is Smokeye, right?
Yeah, you got it. Smokeye Hill.
And you guys are not currently available in Ohio, correct?
No, unfortunately, we're not. We're only in nine markets right now. We're continuing to grow and expand where we can, but we got to make more whiskey. That's our problem. We don't have enough. Right.
And I know because Ohio is the way it is, it'll be one of the last ones. So, because it's kind of a pain to get into. But luckily, we have some connections into Indiana and some other places that hopefully we'll be able to get some stuff from you. But Smokeye Hill Bourbon, we're drinking a combination of your bourbon and your cast strength bourbon, but you also have a rye, right?
We do. Cast strength rye.
Cast strength rye, excellent.
And it is cast strength rye.
Go big or go home, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We don't mess around. You know, one of the things too is with Colorado, I mean, the elevation, I think there's the environmental factors a lot of people don't talk about enough. There was actually a recent Forbes article that just came out, which was really cool because it shed light on some of these different aging environments and it highlighted Colorado. One of the things it was saying was because as a drier climate, you know, the water's going to evaporate faster and you get these really high proof whiskeys. And so we fall into that category of having very high proof whiskeys. And our rye is just right up there with the barrel proof bourbon.
Nice. Yeah, because that barrel proof there, what is the proof on it? It's 140 something, I think, isn't it? Or is it 130 something?
Oh, God.
132.
32. Okay. Yeah. So
132.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's up there. But you know.
Which is good. We like that punch. And so I'm currently drinking just the regular 5-year. And it still has a little bit of a punch to it at 92 proof, 93 proof, but not an offensive punch. It's a nice, smooth kind of, but you know it's there.
Yeah. Thank you. I think for us too, and as a craft brand, obviously, anyone who knows Smokeye Hill is probably familiar with our barrel proof products. Like again, the bourbon, that kind of put us on the map. But as far as an everyday drinker goes and kind of introducing the brand to some people that aren't after the 130 plus proof bourbons, we thought it was nice to have something that we could, throw into cocktails, kind of an easy sipper. My wife enjoys it. I enjoy it. There's people that are like, I love that. It's my favorite whiskey you guys have. And, it is good. And 93, I think is a nice, it's about as low as we're ever going to go is 93. But you still get a lot of good flavor. It's the same whiskey as our barrel proof. It's just proof down.
Do a lot of your the barrel strength that you guys put out, do they stick around that 130 range, or do they kind of go between like 120 to 130?
Oh, let me tell you, they can get up there. So I was just essentially because a lot of what we do too is we use these smaller 30-gallon barrels primarily. We do have 53s. We have a way, smaller amount of inventory of those, but those are designed to really go like really long term, like above like 10 years or so. So with these 30-gallon barrels, our entry proof is in the mid 120s, low 120s. And so after a few years, like 5 years, we'll pull them out. You get a lot around the 129 to 134-ish. And then we have the oldest our barrels are in the 30 gallons right now are coming up on 8 years. And so we will be doing something to commemorate that milestone. But some of those barrels, I was just tasting through the other day. We had one that was as high as 147 and one that was as low as 132. So there's kind of a wide variety, and that's all currently it's about 7.5 years. So we have a lot hovering around 138, 139 around there. But yeah, at 8 years, man, it's high 130s getting into hazmat. which I hope makes some people happy. But the thing is too, is like, it doesn't drink super, super hot, which is really nice, which, so take that for what it is. But yeah, they can get up there.
That's one of the things we noticed with the barrel proof was it's like appropriate. Like that proof is right for that. It doesn't drink like it's trying to be a heavy hitter. It's just like that's what it is.
Yeah, no, thank you for saying that. Yeah, I think it's, I think when you actually taste it, it's, yeah, and of course a lot of people say, oh, it drinks, a lot lower than the proof, but I do think there's something to be said for these barrels, the environment, even the 30-gallon itself. I think it imparts, some really great qualities too, and at that age, especially that you don't normally get. But yeah, I mean, if you have 135 proof whiskey that tastes like 145, like, no one wants to drink that. So I think it's all about finding that nice like balance of like full flavor and approachability. And again, like for me too, and we tell people all the time, it's like, obviously we all know what we're doing when it comes to high proof whiskeys, but put some ice in there, add water to it. Like it's such a journey for people to experience. This is what it comes out of the barrel out. This is the unadulterated, like nothing done to it. And then, the most whiskey that people drink is proof down. And I think there's just like the people that aren't really big whiskey connoisseurs don't really understand how they can, the whiskey does come out of the barrel so much higher than with what the bottle that they're buying usually is.
Yeah. The 30-gallon barrels is pretty interesting because you source your products. So a lot of this stuff is MGP or some other places. But so how did you get into 30-gallon barrels? And you also mess around a lot with Char because it looks like you're doing multiple layers of Char. So how did that come about? And like, what's kind of your reasoning for doing all that?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, so our process is a little bit different, and we kind of take this hybrid, like kind of non-distilling producer approach, which is we found the right partner, doing a lot of research of saying distilling partner, on who I thought could make like the best like whiskey we were after. I mean, I think that's the best value proposition, like for customers, for myself. I was like, let's have the best that we can, the best, some of the best, arguably the best in the business, make this for us and do it to our specifications. So what we did, we came to them and essentially we're like, okay, we want to do blue corn, we want to do this and we want to do that. Can you do it? They said, we'll get back to you. And then they came back and they said, yes, we can. And so I was like, okay, great. So the process was just, okay, we get the raw distillate, the White Dog, put it out in big tankers, send it to us in Colorado. And then from there, it was, okay, like we can do, really with the 30-gallon barrels, like we're like, okay, well, let's experiment with these and let's also do the 53s, which is kind of tried and true. We knew that. And so just through a little bit of like R&D and kind of messing around, we're like, okay, wow, these 30-gallon barrels really do make some really great whiskey. And I think, we don't look at it like a shortcut. Like we're not trying to release like 2-year-old whiskey that tastes like it's 10 or anything like that. We're like, all right, like for a craft brand, 5-year-old is a pretty solid like age to release our first like core lineup. And could we make it better if we do smaller barrels? I mean, it's more expensive. We have to buy almost twice as many barrels. So like it's not like a shortcut in any way. And then with the Chars too, having tasted through some Char 3s, some Char 4s and toasted and this and that, if you're doing that, you really can pick out a lot of different, flavor characteristics and profiles from each one, and so it kind of made sense in a way where, all right, let's get a little, we're already doing blue corn. We're already thinking outside the box, getting a little crazy anyway. So why don't we just see if we can do a few of these other Chars and then blend them together? And honestly, like the majority of them are Char 3 and Char 4. And we have a select group of like Char 2s and Char 5s. But like the big majority are the 3s and 4s. But like, if you go through and you taste them individually, they're fantastic, but they're all so unique. And it's a pretty wild experience. It's something I hope we can offer at some point of just like, I've seen some people do it, which is like broken down. If we could have some sort of like blending kit or something, like I would love that because you can really experience the difference in all three of those or all four of those chars. But it kind of just was like, okay, let's do this. Let's see if we can find a great blend, put them all together and go from there. And like, luckily, I think it worked out. And it really does. Is the whole is better than the sum of its parts, in my opinion. So a little unorthodox, but it works for us.
Well, see, that's what's great about craft distilleries, and that's what we love about them. Is you guys are trying to innovate in a market that's been going on forever. You know what I mean? Something that like it's almost like, is there anything more we can do? Guys are still finding ways to do more. We like that about craft.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I feel the same way. I think that's what's exciting. And that's like when I got into this, I was like, I don't want to, there are like a few tried and true ways to do it. I was like, that's not appealing. Like there's a lot of great whiskeys out there. What can we do that's kind of unique, but still like offers value like to the industry, and to people buying a bottle. And that's why I was like, all right, like let's see what we can do. And from the blue corn to the barrels and this and that, like, we like being a little outside the box, and it's just, it's more fun. It's more interesting. And again, like hopefully our customers and people like it when they try it and, keep on, trying to push some boundaries if we can. But
one of the things that we talked about at the beginning of the year was one of the predictions or things we wanted to see was distilleries using unique grains. And that heirloom blue corn, while blue corn it's becoming more common, it's still not very common. Walk us through that process. Why did you guys pick blue corn? Like, there's so many other corns out there.
Yeah.
Like, what was the mentality behind it?
Right. Well, one, I have to be careful the name just due to some agreements. But yes, that distillery in question, it came through for us, and they've been amazing. So the whole thing with Smokeye Hill, like I'm from Arizona originally. The name is Smokeye Hill. Sorry, I'm gonna give you the full story because there's no other way. It's gonna be bouncing around here. So being from Arizona, Smokeye Hill is a name. My family acquired a ranch in 1940, and it's like still a functioning cattle ranch. It's been running for all these years since, and still in the family. And they found an old Prohibition era still. My grandpa telling me the story it was just rusted out. There wasn't much left over, just a couple like rings and things like that. I'm part of the ranch called Smokeye Hill. So, to me, I thought that was really fascinating. And that's what influenced the creation of the brand and like the identity. And like, it kind of just came to me kind of following my roots a little bit and doing something that I was, if I'm going to do this, I'm like, it's got to be something that like has significant meaning to me. And there's a cool backstory with like moonshiners in that area. And it happened before our family owned the ranch. So, we can't take any credit, unfortunately. But, they'd hang these cowbells on the necks of mules when they got a tip from this local Prohibition agent who would basically say, yeah, we're coming fishing or whatever. And so they get the tip, they put the cowbells on the mules, they run through the hills like a warning system. So you hear the bells like run like hell is what we like to say. So we took that, and that's important because that's kind of the Arizona piece a little bit. And growing up, I was exposed to a lot of blue corn, like in the local cuisine. It was tortilla chips, it was pancakes, it was all sorts of things. And so to me, it was just something that I was like, all right, like this is great. It's delicious. I'm used to eating it. And when it came to trying to ideate what Smokeye Hill would be, I was like, okay, like, I always liked eating it when I was a kid. I'm sure, it could be used pretty well. Like, we're not the first ones to do it, right? There are other ones that are out there. But that was the initial idea, was like, let's use it, but also let's use it deliberately. And let's not because there was part of it. It's like, look, I'm all for like kind of existing outside the box and trying to, do something unique and different, but not for the sake of that. It's got to be good. And so part of my fear when we were developing the mash bill was like, I don't want to do 100% blue corn or 95% blue corn if it's going to skew, it's going to be too polarizing for any reason. I was like, I want it to be like a departure, a little bit left or right of like the traditional bourbon like profile that people love, right? I didn't want to alienate the hardcore bourbon consumers. So that's what was like, all right, let's add in all the other parts of the mash bill, like the yellow corn, the rye, malted barley. And so what we have is like over 51% blue corn, but then we also sprinkle in those other grains. And back to the distillery at hand, it was almost this like, it was a combination of, I think, us saying, hey, look, can you do this? Them just having done a few trials with some other heirloom grains prior for a university, actually. And they went well enough to where they were like, yes, we worked with these, we're comfortable with them. And if you want to do it, we can go ahead and do it for you. And so I think there was a little bit of like cosmic timing to this whole thing too. I think we had a good proposition. I think, we were at the right place and the right time for that to come to fruition. And a funny story, I was talking to, I don't think he'd mind me sharing this, but this, David Perkins, who founded High West years ago when I was, because I don't come from, my background's not whiskey. So what I did was I just threw myself into podcasts and tried to read as much as I could, and Fred Minnick and Bourbon Pursuit guys and all those. And, like people like you guys that are putting out amazing content it's you can get an education in whiskey, on Spotify or YouTube or anything like that. Like you really can. And so I was connected to him through a friend, and he asked me, he's like, how did you get that company to do blue corn? I was like, I kind of told him the same I told you guys. And he was like, that's interesting because that was basically my first initial idea for High West.
Oh, that's interesting.
Really? Yeah. Never thought of that.
And they said they couldn't do it at the time. So, hey, it worked out. It worked out well for him in the long run. Like they had a very, very successful run and still do. So I don't feel, that awfully for him. But it was just, it was an interesting story that kind of makes, when I think about starting this company, how kind of things just aligned in certain ways to allow an outsider like me to kind of find my way in. And just little things like that I can't believe I'm even sitting here, so kind of funny.
In your story on your website and everything, and you're talking about how you got started and sitting with your grandpa in Arizona there and smelling his bourbon and wanting to put out some sort of a quality product and really enjoying that. Do you happen to remember or know your grandpa, did he have a brand? Or was it just kind of whatever he wanted at the time?
No,
or was he kind of
it was like Wild Turkey or like Jim Beam usually. There's some Jack Daniels too, But yeah, he had this cool room, and he would, we're come from a like, ranching family and stuff. So there was this wood panel room, and there's like, some trophy birds he had, and just like it was like his cool little den and this hidden bar off to the side. And it was just like, always had this glass in his hand, and just, just one of those, like, and I'm sure, it's just a touching moment you have like with your grandparents when you're young, you're impressionable, and you're like, oh, this is cool. And of course I wanted to sip, and he's like, absolutely not. It was just kind of one of those just moments like, oh, like I like this. And I think I realized it was just like that kind of like that slowing down, like when you're sharing a dram with someone, you kind of just settle in, life slows down a little bit, conversation gets going, and it's just kind of one of those like kind of relaxing moments. And so that was one of the things I kind of picked up on really early, was like, that's kind of what this represented in a way. And then, and that's when I heard the story of like Smokeye Hill and things like that. And so, yeah, I feel fortunate to have kind of had that times with him.
Yeah, we talk a lot about generations and kind of how the older generation usually had like a brand, or they were just, it was kind of whatever. And now people are more into this craft sort of deal where we want to try everything, and we're looking for different flavors and looking for different things. But older generations tended to kind of stick to what they know. And so I was curious if there was a particular thing for him.
Well, we had, really on that really quick. And it was funny. We have a good friend who, same thing. We're like, hey man, like, of course we're, all of our friends are like, hey, want to try your whiskey? Want to try whiskey? We're like, sure, absolutely. Here, take a bottle home. And he's like, all right, my dad is only drinks Woodford. To your point, only drinks Woodford. I'm going to see if I can get him to drink Smokeye Hill. And so now I'm happy to report that he has incorporated Smokeye Hill into his repertoire. So now it's not exclusively Woodford. There is some Smokeye Hill in there too. But I appreciate the brand loyalty. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, there's so many great whiskeys out there. You're doing yourself a disservice if you're not out there trying a bunch of these awesome offerings from people.
With everything kind of being based around your home ranch there in Arizona, do you guys have any plans of doing like a visitor center or a tasting room or anything like that in either Arizona or there in Colorado where you are?
Yeah, I mean, good question. I think for us too, that's one thing that we know that we're lacking, that we really want to have that interaction. And there's so many great things we can do with that, because right now our facilities are closed off to the public. So to answer your question, yes, we are. And we get a lot of questions too of why don't you have your facilities in Arizona? Why are they in Colorado? And when it came to making the story is part of it, but also the other half of that is what's in the bottle has to be good. And our ranch, it's the climate isn't the right thing. It's just I don't think we could make nearly as good a whiskey as we do in Colorado. So that's why we kind of honed in on it. Was really let's do what we can to make and I knew it had to be in the Southwest. I couldn't be Kentucky, although I love Kentucky. But yeah, so for us, one of my partners is from Colorado. So, and obviously that's what's on our label. We have kind of ambitious goals to do some fun tasting rooms, and maybe both of those cities or states would be great one day. But yeah, I would say stay tuned, because the next year or two, I think we'll have something like that for sure.
As guys get into whiskey, or people get into whiskey, one of the things they start looking for is, do they make it or do they source it? And for a while, there has been this stigma of sourced is bad. If they source it, they don't care. They didn't put any time or effort or really anything into it. You're probably the first craft distiller that we've talked to that has flat out sourced, but has had a huge hand in what goes into it, and then the aging process and the change in that. Walk us through, as you hear someone say, well, the stigma is sourced is bad. How would you guys view it now that you guys are kind of in it?
Yeah,
and you've had a
good
hand
question.
in it?
I would say if you want to pick something apart, any brand, you can find a million reasons to do so. I think, really, if you pay attention to the landscape of whiskey right now, and even craft whiskey, there's some amazing producers out there that are doing some incredible things with blending and finishing. And they're straight up sourcing a lot of the same barrels that other people are, but it's kind of not what you got, it's how you use it kind of thing. So I think part of it's what you got, obviously. But for us, I think that you're starting to see this kind of if you're judging the whiskey just based on the whiskey alone, which is how you should judge a whiskey, I think that it's kind of easy to dispel some of the hate and just say, and again, it's because there's been a lot of people, and you look at some very big brands out there, I don't want to name them and call it, but they've based their whole business model on just doing finishes or finding these kind of, little barrels here and there that might be a little different, or something unique about them that we could all three probably go pick, or all four of us, or sit down and probably pull different barrels that we like based on our own profile that would all be different from each other if we were to go and taste through a whole bunch. And so I think if people pay attention to look more into the story of who's behind it, what's happening, not just, it's just off the shelf. I think, you should get past a lot of that hang up of, and I will say it goes the other way too. Just because you make it yourself, which I have so much admiration for true craft distillers that are, growing their own grains or sourcing locally and making their, distilling their own. Hell yeah. you deserve a round of applause. Okay. But that doesn't necessarily translate to a better whiskey. There's so many other variables along the way that are important too. And so that's why I think is that the value proposition is what's in the bottle. Like, make the best whiskey you can. And also, I can, on a tangent, obviously, you can tell.
We like it.
You kind of know the benchmark of what you're going to get too. If you're like, hey, like this is sourced from here or there, you can pretty much know that like it's not going to suck if you're debating buying this or not. Like, I feel like, for us, part of the thing that we have to kind of sell people on as a new brand is that, we don't suck. So, like that can be hard to do when in a very crowded landscape, So there's a lot to it. Just the more you can educate yourself on like everything behind the brand, the better you're going to be.
This whole podcast came out of a club, and so we get together every month and we open a bottle, and it's all themed for the year. And we did a whole year of just source bottles, and our for that exact reason. It was figuring out, does that matter all that much? Does it not matter? What all that? And different people had different opinions on the whole thing, on which ones were their favorites and which ones weren't. But we all said that as long as the company is doing something to the whiskey, so you guys are aging it, you had a hand in the mash bill, all that makes it yours. And so that makes it so that it's not like you're just a white labeler. You're not just throwing somebody else's stuff into your bottle. You're doing something to make it yours. And as long as you're doing that, then there is something that makes it special to you. And that's kind of how we've always looked at sourcing.
Yeah, and just also like what makes the brand what it is too, kind of like what he's been talking about. It's another thing that we like to talk about on this podcast, and with the club is the history of the brand, why it got started, why are they producing what they're producing, and why are they going like making this approach or that approach. That kind of stuff is what we really get interested in, even more so than the flavor profile and everything, which we do really appreciate, the taste of it, obviously. But we really geek out over like what makes this company tick.
Yeah. No, respect. I think that's the right way to look at it too. And I think you guys shining a light on all these different producers like ourselves is amazing. And like, really appreciate you guys doing that in the whiskey clubs. And, it's pretty remarkable. Again, I pinch myself all the time that I even get to do this and sit here and talk to you guys. But I'm like, someone made this comparison that like whiskey heads are basically like sneakerheads. It's like we care about every little nuance, every release, everyone's up on it. And I'm like, I can't think of very many other industries or products that people have that level of dedication, that you're willing to like, sleep in a lawn chair to get a release, like in the middle of the winter to get this special thing. And like, it's awesome. But again, like, yeah, I mean, to me, that's 100% it. Like, shining a light on that, like, the story behind some of these things and why they are, and having platforms like you guys for people like us or myself to tell those stories is so important. So yeah, thanks.
And we went through, Steve talking about the year of sourcing for the club, we went through 12 different bottles that were all sourced. And there were several that I remember going through going, man, this really isn't, because we also talk about the price tag. Like, is it worth the price tag? Because one of the big themes for the sourcing was not is it good or is it bad, but is it worth it? Like, is it worth the price tag for what you're drinking, for what you're trying? Is it worth it from beginning to end? And talking about flavor with just the barrel proof alone, this is one that I wish we would have had for that year, because this blows a lot of them that we had out of the water. And we had some highly sought after sourced bottles that guys were talking about on Facebook or on clubs. They're like, oh, you got to have this, you got to have that. And we're, 80, 90, 100 plus bottles. And guys are trying to go, why? Like, what's the point? Like, why did people want this? I don't get it. And you look at this and you're like, okay, I've never heard of you guys. But then you try and you're like, why have I never heard of you guys? Like, why can't I find this? Because that's really disheartening that I can't find this now, because it's so good.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, that you just hit the nail on the head, in my opinion, too. When you're talking about that and comparing these brands, it's the value, yeah, and the price. And so again, back to how I feel like educated, at least the audience is listening to us talk right now, so educated on what's going on. And it's like, yeah, like with it, we get that too. Like, why should we spend, you know, basically $90 on your bottle and compared to this or that, and so that you can't be everything to everyone all at once, and so there's we know kind of where we exist, and you know but yeah, like again, it's to me, it's that value proposition. What are we offering? If we have charging $90 and had the same just whiskey that's off the rack house shelf, whatever is A, B, C, and D brands, then yeah, like it's not going to get us very far. And I knew that. I was like, we have to do something different and unique. And I got advice along the way when I was trying to start this, of asking people, hey, like, give me some like tips of success. What should I do? What should I not do? Like, I reached out to Mark Brown, the Sazerac, and who has that industry letter. You had to email him to get on his email list. And he responded back. He's like, hey, like personally, he's like, hey, yeah, like welcome to the newsletter. We'll put you on there. And I was like, oh my God, he actually answered in person. This is insane. So I was like, all right, now's my shot. Let me shoot it, see what happens. I was like, hey, could you give me, now that I have you, would you mind sharing like any, tips of success that I could like maybe use? I'm starting this, hope to start this bourbon company or whiskey company, and like blah, blah, blah. And he responded back and he gave me some great advice that I still like need today. And it's basically was like, try and do something to differentiate yourself on the shelf. Said, get honest feedback from like people around you, like listen to that. And then, it was don't try and grow too big too fast, and try and like kind of own the markets that you're in when you're starting off. And so, some of that, like it was good advice at the time. I think it's still, a lot of it still rings true. And, and I emailed him not too long ago. I was like, hey, I haven't talked to you since, but like, you told me this advice almost 8 years ago, and longer actually when I started this. And I was like, I just wanted to say thank you again, because like, we actually have whiskey now. We've won some awards and this and that. There was this cool one. He's like, oh, congratulations. That's awesome. So, I went off on a tangent. I'm sorry.
We do that a lot.
We do. Yes.
It's all right.
Yeah, sorry.
You're all good.
We like the tangents.
Yes.
Let me have another sip here.
Well, while you're sipping, so we got. By the way, thank you for the hats. We got hats from you guys. They're probably some of the
great.
the classiest hats that we've gotten from.
We get
distilleries.
Compliments all the time on those things.
And SH is my initials, so it's like fantastic.
We also got
just for you. It's for you, Steve.
We got some matches from you guys too, a matchbook. Do you guys like cigars? Are you guys pipe guys? What's the reason behind that?
Okay, good question. So yes, I'm a big cigar guy, and funny enough is Chris, I see you smoking your pipe, and like if you look at if I go to my like algorithm on like social media, which I'm not active on at all, it's whiskey, it's cigars, and it's like pipes. And I don't even smoke a pipe, but I found myself very recently wanting to start smoking pipes. And I've done all sorts of research and like gone down the rabbit hole of talking about different aromatic blends and different pipes and different shapes and how to treat a pipe and this and that. Like, I don't even smoke one, but like I want to. So the last one I smoked, I think when I was like 18 years old, and I was just trying to, figure out what was going on and have fun. It was like a corncob pipe or something dumb. But I want to. And then cigars, yes, like they're big fan of cigars. End of the day, cigar and whiskeys, you can't name a better combo in life. I dare you. Peanut butter and jelly maybe, but like, those, big cigar guy. And with those matches, like one thing that we're doing with the brand is like we take making whiskey extremely seriously, but we also try not to take ourselves too seriously in the process. And so we're a really small team. but that's like, let's like make some like cheeky matches. And like, we just do those at events. We hand them out, we throw them out. And it's like, I don't know. It's just like a fun thing to do. Save water, drink bourbon kind of saying. And
I like that.
Yeah, unfortunately though, I feel like when you're smoking a cigar or a pipe, like you need something a little heftier than those little matches. You're going to need like a nice torch or flame or something. But
I still use matches now and then, especially for a pipe. Matches are still king, I think. But I'd recommend definitely getting into a pipe. So I smoke cigars pretty often, probably 3 or 4 times a week, I'd say. And I love cigars. But I mean, really, when you're talking about flavors and like really trying to pick up on nuances and the variation and variables and stuff, that's pipe tobacco. I mean, because you don't get a whole lot, in my opinion, of variation. I got a ton of cigars and I love them, but it's very minute little changes. Pipe tobacco, it's a lot more, it's vast.
I love it. Well, Chris, you're leading the charge back to make pipes relevant again. So
make pipes great again.
We normally we've thought about adding a pipe to the logo because both Chris and I are usually smoking on every episode, and we usually add that in and kind of talk about what we're smoking and how it matches.
Amazing.
And how it goes together. So it's become a big part of the podcast now.
I love that. You should definitely put it in the logo. And yeah, I want to offline and get you all's recommendations for a good like starter kit and tobacco and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
we'll get you going.
I mean, again, it's like light. Yeah, thank you. No, it's like like life kind of slows down. You can take a breather. Like it's a 30-minute, 45-minute break from everything, and it's hard to explain just for the people that don't do it, like what that brings. And that's what I love about it. The ritual, the everything about it. Same thing with making pouring a whiskey or doing through the process. Yeah, big fan.
It's the reason we don't talk a ton about the flavors of the whiskeys and stuff, because we're smoking, we're drinking out of rocks glass, not Glencairns. We're not like pulling out these delicate flavors.
We're not pretentious. We don't want to be pretentious.
But
I love that
ritual.
I love that.
It's all about slowing down and enjoying the drink, enjoying the smoke, enjoying whatever it is. That's
Absolutely.
what it's meant for.
The conversations that come out of it. Yeah. Everything.
I agree. I know I've had some of my favorite conversations. And again, like this kind of reminds me of this, your room, like, make it like 1950s style with some wood on the walls. This is basically like my grandpa's like little study. They're like when I would, he had guns on the wall, and that was my first introduction to this. So it's cool to kind of, like that. It's that feeling. It's everything you just said. It's what's great about it.
You said, so you're fairly new to the whiskey business. I mean, other than you've been doing this now for 8 years or something like that. But what was your life pre-whiskey? What was your career?
Yeah. So good question. So I took a very non-traditional route to get here. I think in hindsight, I would have, it's hard to say. If I did anything differently, I probably wouldn't have ended up right where I am. But no, I professionally, out of school, I had the genius idea to pursue music. And so I was a guitarist and a singer in like indie rock band. And I moved to LA at the time, and it was like, okay, let's, I'm originally from Arizona. My parents split up. I have a dad my dad's in Los Angeles. So it was like, all right, let's go chase those dreams. And so I did that and very quickly realized, I was like, we had like a little bit of like local success and toured around, and it was fun. It was very much along like the kind of indie rock, kind of like the Killers kind of stuff,
nice.
like in the mid 2000s.
Stuff.
So it was kind of like that. And I played guitar and I sang, and I don't talk about this that often, but it kind of was like, when it came with creating the whiskey, I was like, I kind of have this like kind of creative bug just to get in and tinker around and try and do shit. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But that was what I first did. And after that, I had a good run, and I was like, this is not really a life that I want to lead, like I'd want to have a family one day and get married and like not live on the road. And that, I liked the drinking part of the job. I tasted a lot of whiskey, which is probably what, helped shape my taste later. And then from there, I kind of just, I went from that to like working, honestly with my dad, who has a kind of health and wellness company, and trying to figure out, okay, like I knew I wanted to eventually like have my own business, and like I wanted to try and kind of learn all these different avenues, and so I was thrown in the marketing department and trying to learn how to kind of sell some potions and lotions and stuff to middle-aged women, and I learned a lot, like I would do like, like market research studies, which I've always found was like really fascinating. And like, they're going to launch something or this or that. Like, okay, like why do people like certain things, like certain behaviors of like why people might be, might want to buy something over something else. And I think that also helped me too, kind of like when I was creating Smokeye. And then from there, I was like, okay, this is fun, but like, I need to do something else. And it was like, I followed some other family steps and started doing some real estate stuff, worked with my brothers, had a great time. Like, that's when I kind of learned what to like really kind of running your own business and like what that kind of looks like, and being responsible for all these different aspects and different, everything it takes to do that. And got to a point where I had kind of done enough in that to have a little bit of pocket change, and was like, all right, like I could do this my entire life and be okay, but like this was like my passion. I was like, one day I have to do this, and I started to figure out like that it was in whiskey, and it was in doing what I'm doing now. And so then it became like I didn't have a family at the time, I didn't have anything, so I was able to kind of again just make kind of a crazy pivot and put everything I had and scrounged from family and friends, and was able to kind of get everything going. And, and in the process too, was like, we get the barrels down in 2018, and I just like rapidly devoured any sort of like information that I could, and talked to people and founders and listened to every podcast that I could and read everything. And so again, there's a great wealth of like information available if anyone has the itch to do this, and so many different ways to go about it. And so when I kind of figured out like what Smokeye Hill could be as it started to take shape, I was like, oh, I'm going to put everything on this, and I'm going to give it my shot. And then, I had to wait patiently. I was still doing some other odds and ends in between there. And, then COVID happens and everything. And I was like, okay, like finally we were able to launch in 24. A roundabout, very roundabout, backstory.
That COVID wasn't easy on anybody, especially distilleries getting started around that time.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It was not. But
speaking of when you guys got started till now, we have two products in front of us, right? We got your barrel strength, and we got the 93 proof. You also said that you have a rye.
A barrel proof rye.
Barrel proof rye.
Barrel proof rye?
That's exciting.
It's very exciting. I'm very excited for that. Do you know the mash bill? Is this a 95.5? Is it something similar to what you guys do for the bourbon?
So what we do, it's similar to the bourbon, but with this, again, we will get the raw distillate. We buy the raw distillate with the White Dog, and we'll take it out. And I really like the way these 30-gallon barrels develop. So we'll buy the White Dog, and we put in our 30-gallon barrels. And in this case, it would be, like a traditional 95.5. But again, White Dog, right? So we put it in, we barrel it ourselves, we do the 30-gallon barrels. And when I first was deciding, because it's a blended rye, I didn't know how much blue corn to put in. I knew that like with Smokeye Hill, like our identity is kind of built around the blue corn and my backstory of Arizona and everything. So I didn't know exactly at what point or how much like blue corn would make this thing like hum and sing. And so that's what we did. We laid down the 30-gallon barrels of the 95.5, again, raw distillate. And then when it got to a certain age, like, okay, let's get in the lab. Let's start playing with different blends, like kind of see like what's going on. And at that point too, we're like, okay, we'll put in our bourbon and essentially played around with a few different chars on what that, would look like for the rye, and came up with something that where it's a bourbon drinker's rye. It's not, it's first of all, it tastes nothing like any other 95.5 that you'll have. We get these extreme, like honeyed kind of notes to it. It's unidentifiable from anything else of 95.5 that you're probably used to. And with with the blue corn too, like all that in there, it is gone pretty bananas. And it is it's a product I'm really proud of, because I wasn't sure how it was going to come together. And when we got it right, it was just like, I just knew. I was like, this is a great product. We don't have that much of it. Like, it was very limited this year, and it will be for the next few years. But it really stands out. And, I was happy to see it get some love, like we did, like in the Ascot, Fred Minnick's Ascot Awards this year. Like, it's in a taste off with Thomas H. Handy for Best American Rye. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm like, I don't know if we're going to win it or not. Like, it'd be great if we did, but even to be in that conversation, I'm like, I feel like for a small craft brand, that's cool to be in in that company. So, little things of just like, okay, we're on the right path. Like, that's, and we're, a quarter of the price at least of what that product goes for, So, yeah, but I want you guys to try it. I will send you a bottle.
Yeah.
And then I hope you guys enjoy it.
We're big rye guys, so.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then you definitely have to have it.
So any plans for the future are you guys looking to do anything else besides, those three, or?
Yeah. No, I'm glad you asked that too. So what I wanted to do was with Smokeye Hill too, was just make sure that like we didn't hide behind any blending or finishing, I should say. Like, so I wanted to give our core products a shot, to say, hey, our whiskey is good with just like the mash bill in our process. Like, let's start with that. People like that I know our finishes and some of these specialty stuff will be great. And so, yeah, so that's the plan. So we do have quite a few things in the works, which I'm really excited about. And again, like with the blue corn and with what we're doing, and there's not a lot that's been done in the open market that like I've seen that kind of has some of that. So I'm excited that we can kind of innovate a little bit with us. And I mentioned the 8-year, we will be having a very small release of what we're calling our Heritage Reserve, which will be, be 8 years old, the majority of our barrels. And kind of figure out it'll be a blend, because I think I'm having too much fun, like putting, doing all this. And like my favorite option that I've had is has a lot more of our rye in it. And so I don't know, we're waiting to see what that's going to turn out to, but it's going to be phenomenal. And then and it will also be pretty high proof as well. And then, yeah, I mean, we may have some double oak stuff coming up. We might have some, some toasted, some, you name it. But I mean, we're kind of just playing around, and seeing it. And some will be really small release, and we'll just see how, people like it, and, go from there. But I mean, can I ask you guys a question? Because you guys are experts. Like, what are you really into as far as finishes and stuff goes? I mean, do you guys, because there's so much cool innovation coming out. Like, I'd love your all's feedback on what you guys.
I mean, you kind of asked the right guys, because we're big into finishing.
Well, it was interesting when you were talking about the different stuff you guys are looking towards doing. as I had a sip of the barrel proof, I just thought, man, an Armagnac finish or like a cognac finish on this would be.
I mean, that's a tried and true. I love anything finished in cognac or brandy barrels. But you know what I really want to see on the market, and you actually talked about High West earlier. But Yippee-Ki-Yay was always I was always a big fan of, which is gone. But nobody's doing like vermouth finishes. That's what I want to see, something like that. That would be interesting, right? Yeah.
What's interesting when you get into like the whiskey community, those that are like hardcore into it and love collecting, love sharing. You start talking about finishings, and you're like, oh, double oak. They're like, oh, cool. Like that's fun. Woodford does it, cool. But then you get into the ones that are doing like Vino de Naraha finishes, and they're like, what is this? And how do I get my hands on it? How do I try it? We had one that was a cherry brandy finish. They were like, I've never had a cherry brandy finish. I want to try that. You get into this realm of the guys that are like, I've had good whiskey. Now I want to see what good whiskey that can be blended well, what it's like with a good finish and just a unique finish, something that's going to change. It's going to change it drastically. I had one the last week that was a barley wine finish. And that one was like, what the heck? What is going on right now? And the distillery I got it from is very like, they're very craft, very like Dusty Barn, kind of very soft, but very earthy at the same time. So you add in the barley wine and it brought about the sweetness that wasn't there before. And you're like, did you guys buy this barrel from someone else? Like, this is not yours, right? Like, there's no way this could be yours.
Because it changes everything.
It just changes everything drastically to where like you now created a product that can be an introduction to someone that says, ooh, their stuff was a bit too earthy or a bit too much for me. And you try that and you're like, is this from the same one? This can't be from the same one. Now I want to try other stuff they have. So you can get some pretty interesting,
unique. Didn't we try a muscadine wine finish?
No, you want a muscadine wine.
Maybe that's just what I want. Nobody's ever done that. I love muscadine wine.
Yeah.
That sounds really good. Now, let me ask another question too. When you're drinking those, I mean, because there's a whole thing too. It's like, look, we're known for our like barrel proof products primarily. What proof? We could do anything from barrel proof, or we could do down to anything in between. I mean, they're all tasting delicious. I've had a whole different realm, but I'm just curious. Again, as we're kind of,
I think it depends on the finishing.
All three of us like high proof.
If it's a nuanced finish, then you might have to go lower.
Yeah.
Just because it overpowers.
We also took we mentioned it for the club. We took a year of sourced. We also did a year of finishings. So we went through a whole year of several different finishings and very unique ones and ones that may have been done before, but not like this. And I mean, we got to try the Vino de Naraha. We got to try, what was the other one from Middle West? It was like that
one was.
It was another unique,
that was
Spanish wine or some kind of unique.
Tokaji?
I don't remember what it was. It was they were supposed to get that one and it was a mistake. But we've gotten to try. I got to try a blueberry wine finish. That one Starlight Distillery in Indiana did a blueberry wine finish.
Yeah, Starlight's great.
That one was unique because you take their stuff and put it into blueberry wine and you're like, okay, you got something dry compared to something sweet, and it really brought about this unique, and they did a higher proof. So it brought about this unique sweet, but it was almost like a blueberry pie. It was super interesting.
I always really lean on the proofier side, but I think it depends on the finishing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it depends too, but I was just curious. Yeah, I mean, there's so great about craft too. I mean, you're seeing some of the big guys start to do it now, following a lot of the craft producers' leads and this and that, but there's so much out there right now and really cool finishes. Now the question is, can you get your hands on it? Because a lot of these things you can't unless you're like a distillery, visit and grab it. But yeah, that's the only tough thing.
It's been interesting for finishings. We talked to Wiggle Whiskey out in Pennsylvania, and they do a used Scotch barrel for finishings for their rye. They don't put that out at cask strength. That's lowered because they tried it at cask and they're like, this is too much.
It's overpowering.
It was overpowering. Yeah. And then we had the cherry brandy finish that we had it was at a certain proof. I forget what it was, but it wasn't cast strength, but
it was higher proof.
It was just watered down proof down just a little bit. And we all said that had it been proof down more, it would have been too cherry. But had it gone too high in proof, you may have not had that cherry flavor that was there. So it's very interesting, like looking at that of like, okay, what am I playing with flavor wise, and what am I really looking for, hoping for with a finish? Do I want it to overshadow the bourbon? Do I want it to play well? What am I looking for? And it's been interesting watching companies try to figure that out too.
And we've had a couple of versions of the peated bourbons and ryes, and we're big fans of it. We're also Scotch guys, but really, really enjoy that.
Nice.
I think what makes it special though too is, there's a risk involved that it might not pan out, right? So I think anytime a craft distillery especially does like a unique finishing, there's this, risk portion to it that's like, man, if this hadn't worked out, they were out all that, and I think when it turns out good, that's what makes you appreciate it even more. And now it's limited as well, which is like, oh man, special edition, got to get it while it's there. Yeah. But I think that people appreciate that even more, that they took a leap of faith and did this unique thing that it might not have panned out,
Yeah. Well, that's good to know.
We might have a contact for you. Yeah, we might have a contact for a distillery out in Pennsylvania that's done finishings, and they've played around with it, and they've become good friends of ours on the podcast. So I bet they'd be willing to talk about like because they've done like triple finishings before and like really unique stuff.
Oh, wow.
They're the ones that do peated whiskey or peated ryes and peated bourbon, so they've thrown that into like a triple finish. And so you talk about like what's good and what's not good, and how do I decide to proof it down barrel. They've gone through all of this of trying to figure that out. A lot of
experimenting.
Yep, and it always changes. I think they walk in with not a proof point in mind as much as a flavor that they're hoping for at the end, and they're
trying to achieve.
Yep. Yeah, and it's very interesting.
No, that's amazing. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, we really appreciate you taking this time to talk with us and do all this and everything else. It's been a blast chatting. But I want to throw the ball into your court, though, to tell our audience anything you want to about what you got going on. How do we get a hold of your bottles? What's in the future? How can our audience connect with you? And we'll put all the socials and all that kind of stuff in the show notes.
I appreciate that. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me again. I had a blast as well. This could easily turn into a way longer podcast than I think we all wanted. It's very easy to talk to you guys. But yeah, I mean, again, we're I'm Blake with Smokeye Hill. You can find us online at www.smokeye hill. I mean, we are not available in every state, but you can if your state allows shipping and we're not in one of your states, then I would encourage you to do that. We actually are literally about to launch a web store where you can buy directly from us online, which is nice and easy, and have some great partners helping us with that. And some of the big retail stores, we're still trying to reach more markets. And so if you'd like Smokeye Hill in your area, your liquor store, let them know, let us know. We want to be where people want us. And I would just say stay tuned, follow us. I mean, we have our social channels, our Instagram, you can stay up to date with what we have going on. We'll continue to do any new releases or any, fun activations, things like that. You kind of just follow us through that. But otherwise, guys, I mean, it's been a true pleasure to join you guys and to talk a little bit about what we do. And thank you for the opportunity. And again, for your time.
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
Appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you. Like I said, we will put all the socials and everything else in the show notes, so that way everyone can get a hold of you. And thank you again. And so cheers till next time.
Cheers.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you want more great content and other perks, be sure to support the show by clicking the link in the show notes. We can be reached on our website, whiskeychaserspod.com, with any ideas for the show. Thanks again.